As I was sitting in prayer today, I asked the Lord to give me something. I asked the Lord to speak to me, and what He showed me I was not expecting. I saw a window with horizontal blinds, and I saw another window with vertical blinds. And later He told me the windows represent the windows into our hearts. So He's showing us deep inside of our heart, okay? So the second window inside the first one, it had vertical blinds, and the blinds opened on either side just like a curtain. And I saw this man that was laying on his back, looking upward. He was laying on a guillotine, and his head came very close to me, so it came, it was like a close-up of his head. And I saw the guillotine's blade come down and sever his head clean off. And then that was it. And I thought to myself, why is the Lord showing me a man getting his head cut off? And He said, there are many people who profess that they love me. There are many people who profess that they would die for me. But deep down inside their heart, if they were faced with that decision, they would abandon me. He said, even people that you know who seem to love me so much would abandon me if faced with death. And so I sat there for a while thinking that, pondering on that. And He said that some people are so on fire, seem so on fire for Him, and yet there's fear inside of their heart. And He talked about Peter to me, and how Peter was a very close disciple of His, but when faced with opposition, he denied Him 3 times. He denied Jesus 3 times. And Peter wasn't someone that you would have thought would do that. But it happened because of fear. He talked to me about the parable in Matthew 13 about the farmer sowing the seed. And I'm just going to read a little bit of it, okay? Starting in verse 3, it says, a farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seeds fell among the thorns, and which grew up and choked the plants. Still other seeds on good soil, where it produced a crop 160 or 30 times what was sown. And he was talking to me about these people who look like they are so on fire for Him, but deep down there are no roots. And deep down they would abandon Him when something bad came along, opposition or persecution came along. Later on in the chapter, in verse 19, I'm going to start with verse 20. It says, the one who received, this is Jesus explaining the parable. It says, the one who received the seed that fell on the rocky places is the man who hears the word, and at once he receives it with joy. But since he has no root, he lasts only a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, he quickly falls away. And so the Lord was talking about how many will fall away because they have no root inside of him. Even long-standing Christians who are still very baby Christians, because they have not allowed the root to grow deep inside the soil. And so I asked him, I said, okay, Lord, how can we make sure that our roots are deep so that when persecution and opposition come, that we don't fall away from you? And he says, my word is the living water. So we need to be in our Bibles every day, feeding this seed inside of us with the word of God, watering it so that the roots can grow deep, so that the plant can spring forth. The word of God gives us nutrients that we need to produce the fruits of the Spirit. Without the word of God, the fruits of the Spirit can't be produced. And it's a natural process. And he was also talking about how we're living. You know, he says, those who will actually die for me will live for me also. He was talking about how we're living. So are we still gossiping? Are we still telling little white lies? A lie is a lie. Whether it is a big lie or a small lie, it's still a lie. Are we still lying? Are we still letting our anger get out of control at times? One of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. And I have problems with this every once in a while, letting my anger get out of control at times. You know, one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control, and these fruits of the Spirit spring forth from plants who have roots that are deep, who are nourished by the Word of God. First and foremost, we need to be nourishing our souls by the Word of God every day, giving it the nutrients it needs, because otherwise our roots will be very shallow, and we won't be able to face the opposition and the persecution that could come to us, you know. The Lord help me. I lost my train of thought. He says, those who will die for me will also live for me as well. I think that's all he had for me to share today. I hope this reaches the right person, and I love you guys, and I hope you have a blessed rest of your day.